Hello, hello. Welcome into a Water Break Wednesday. Drew Dougherty in Las Vegas, I promise, and Deepi Sidhu in Houston. You've got the cooler background, even though I'm in Las Vegas. Like our producer Tyler's really mad at me because I couldn't get a good Vegas-y look, so I'm in the hotel room. But can you see, like, lighting's not very good, and down by the pool, it was all clogged up, so I couldn't go. But I promise you, I'm in Las Vegas for the NFL draft. And Deepi, we've got a lot to discuss.
It's draft eve. I'm jealous. I'm not going to lie. But I'm in the office and it's pretty empty because I think everybody's setting up for the Miller outdoor theater party tomorrow. And, I feel like I'm cramming before finals trying to get like all this last minute draft prep in. But I can't wait. I feel like we're just a little over 24 hours away from knowing who the Texans are going to take with their 2022 first round picks, and it's been a long time since we've had first round picks, so this is going to be a lot of fun.
It sure will. This morning I was over at Caesar's Palace and got a chance to talk with head coach David Shaw from Stanford. He's going to be doing some of the draft analysis on the NFL Network, and as you might expect, we talked a lot about one of his former quarterbacks, Davis Mills. He's very optimistic, and he said, "I told you so." So he thinks big things are going to happen, and he's also very pumped about the Pep Hamilton promotion to offensive coordinator from last season. So he had some good stuff. You're going to want to listen to that. I'm going to have an article up in a little bit as well, but we've got fun stuff coming from him. We also caught up with Daniel Jeremiah. He's one of the best minds in the business when it comes to analyzing the draft, and he's got some cool thoughts on what the Texans might do. But we want to hear from you all that are watching and listening. This is your show, basically. So send us a question. Let us know from where you're sending that question, and Deepi and I will do our best to answer. But Deepi, you brought it up, 3-13, first time since 2019 that the Texans have a first-round draft pick. They took Titus Howard that year, and Joshua wants to know, who are the Texans going to draft third overall? Or he said, who would you like the Texans to take in the draft? Now, all things being equal, if everyone is available, and they're not because two teams are taking a player in front of the Texans. But if everybody was available, I'd love to get Aiden Hutchinson, defensive end from Michigan. I don't think he's going to last, but that's my favorite guy in the draft overall.
I don't know, Drew. I mean, there's a lot of guys I'd be happy with at number 3 overall. You're right. Obviously, if Aiden Hutchinson's around, you want to take him. But a lot of people are saying Trayvon Walker may go first. And then Ike Ekwonu is a great draft prospect. Evan Neal. I mean, then are you going to go secondary? Do you go? I like Sauce Gardner a lot. I think he's flashy. I like the sauce necklace. I'm all in on guys that have a lot of swagger, but is he going to go number 3? Will he go later? Will the Texans actually be picking at 3? There's a lot of questions. I actually am just going to be excited. I think no matter who you get at the number 3 spot, they're going to be probably an immediate contributor to this team in 2022. So I'm excited. I don't really have a guy that I have to have at number 3, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. And Frank follows up with a question about the offense. How will this year's offense be different from last year? It's not going to be drastically different. You're not going to see the Texans running a 3 running back backfield or going 5 wide all the time. But what I do think the biggest bonus and biggest upgrade is going to be in the run game. I do think they're going to be able to run the ball much more effectively than 3.3 yards per carry, which is around where they were last season. I think the blocking is going to be a little bit more aggressive and more in the favor of the offensive linemen. I think they're going to do a good job. And that's with or without adding a first-round pick on the offensive line. I just think it's going to be better on the whole. So that's what I think the big difference will be. You will see the Texans be able to run the ball better, and part of that's going to be because the quarterback has another year of experience under his belt and will know which plays to get in and out of, and he's got an offense in which he's probably a little bit more comfortable running.
Yeah, I think with Pep Hamilton taking over, I mean, he's going to gear the system towards what he's used to running and what he likes to run. So as you remember, last year, Pep was on staff, but it wasn't his offense. It was Tim Kelly's offense, and Pep was quarterback's coach and passing game coordinator. So we got a first look at the Texans out at off-season practice, their off-season program practice yesterday, and it was pretty cool to see Pep Hamilton out there. I mean, he was a lot more vocal than we've seen him in practice before because he's running the offense. And we heard from Davis Mills a few weeks ago saying the system's a little bit different. He likes the changes that he sees in it. So I don't really know what the changes are going to be. I just do believe that it's going to be geared more towards Davis Mills assets, if it is Davis Mills, and it seems like it will be Davis Mills starting right now in the offseason, unless something drastically changes. But I think Pep's going to try to gear this offense towards his strengths and do what he does best, what Mills does best in this system. But yeah, Drew, you're right. I mean, the Texans definitely need to run the ball better. So whatever happens, they're going to definitely try to get that run game going and up off the ground, something they were unable to do last year. And they've all talked about it. Lovie Smith's talked about it. Pep's talked about it. Everyone has talked about how this run game is a priority to get it going.
Yeah, you just touched on it. Excuse me. And I want to expand a little bit more on it. Playing to his strength. And it's going to be playing to Davis's strengths. It's also playing to the strengths of your offense and your playmakers, getting those guys in position to do great things. You sort of alluded to it. We heard Pep Hamilton talk about it. We heard Davis Mills talk about it a week or so ago. Hey, they want to get the ball in the hands of their playmakers, and they want to do what those guys do best. Not so much make those guys a part of a system that's already in place. It's going to be a little bit more, I guess, flexible in that regard. And that's something that I really like, and I like the sound of. And Lucci has a fantastic question. Deepi, Lucci wants to know, who are your number 1 and 2 running backs in this draft? And I really love two guys from the Midwest, Iowa State's Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker from Michigan State. That guy, because I hear from Tyler Marcotte, our producer, a lot, he's a Michigan State fan. And this guy Walker can just about do it all. And I love what I see from him. And on the whole, I like the running backs in this class. I think there's going to be a lot of good guys in the 3rd and the 4th and the 5th, 6th, and 7th that you can pick up that will instantly help this team. So those are my top 2 at the beginning, but I think there's a lot of guys after them that are very, very intriguing as well that would make this team better.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Those are not the running backs I thought you were going to say. You said Midwest. I thought you were going to go Notre Dame's Kyren Williams.
I love that guy too. I love Kyren. I mean,
all-purpose back.
A thumper, yeah.
He would be good. And if you're an Aggie, I mean, the Aggies have a nice little running back that's going to be out on the draft as well. I'm always very happy when we draft guys that went to UT or Texas A&M.
No, I'm fine with Isaiah
Spiller. Yeah, so I'd be happy with the Spiller, Kyren Williams. I mean, I'd be happy with either of those 2, as well as your picks as well, Drew.
Yeah, and Hassan Haskins, the Michigan Wolverine, would be a nice thumper to put in the mix as well. Okay, we got time for a couple more questions. David is imploring us, please draft Trayvon Walker or Kayvon Thibodeau. Don't trade down. Okay, we're going to go. We'll get on the horn with Nick Caserio and let him know that you said that. Braden has this. Rumors are there's a chance we trade 13. What do you think? I think that's certainly a possibility. That's certainly in play. Nick Caserio has said all along he's open to moving up and down in the draft, and it doesn't matter from which pick he'd move up or down. So it could be the 3rd, could be the 13th. We've seen him already make a draft week trade, and last year he made multiple trades during the draft weekend. So yeah, I mean, I would think more is going to come, and moving down from 13 is certainly a possibility for teams that might want to move up to take a quarterback or might want to move up to take one prospect that they've got their eye on that they think won't last to where they're picking.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Caserio, he's been pretty forthright about wanting to trade these picks in the first round. I mean, if anyone wants to pick at number 3, he said it many months ago that Texans were open for business for trading out of that spot. But last week in his pre-draft presser, it was really the first time that we heard him say that there's not a lot of people calling for that number 3 spot. So he's predicting a lot more action at number 13 and trading back from that number 13 spot. So I think right now we had sort of pinned our hopes on the Texans might get some more picks and they won't be picking number 3. Right now it seems like they may be picking at number 3, but maybe they won't be picking at 13. Maybe they'll get some extra picks in the first round, the later part of the first round. But I mean, that remains to be seen. I think we're going to see a lot of action when draft day actually starts up. And I think the first few minutes of the draft are going to be quite hectic, I guess would be the right word, as we try to see where the Texans are going to draft. But we saw some trades earlier this week, Drew. I know you wrote about it as well. Texans not picking in the 7th round. So Caserio's already trading some picks out here. So we know that he does it. He wants to pick earlier in the draft, not later, and get a jump on those college free agents.
Absolutely. We got one from our good friend Bethany, and Bethany wants to know, are the Texans looking for more offensive or defensive draft picks? Yes, is going to be the answer, because they're looking for the best player available. I mean, they want help They want help just about everywhere. So if it comes on the offensive line at some of the skill positions outside of quarterback, if it comes on the defensive line, corner, linebacker, safety, it doesn't matter. They're going to take it. They're going to draft it. And they're going to get as much talent as in the building as they can. They've got to get better. Lovie Smith basically said as much when you and I interviewed him right after he was hired that day back in February. He said, well, if you tell me that we need a player here, I'd say sure. Or a player here, yeah. Like he's very matter of fact. We can use help. The Texans can at any spot, whether it's offense or defense. So, hey, I don't know if it's going to be 7 offensive players and 3 defensive players or vice versa or split down the middle or whatever. But they're just going to get as much talent as they can and as many difference makers as they can on this team.
Yeah, and I think Lovie Smith said it best. I mean, you try to get the guys with the best abilities. They're not really looking for like scheme guys or guys that fit their scheme. They just want the guys that have the best, raw talents, athleticism, guys that can play, because you can find a place for any of those guys anywhere on offense or defense. But I'm with you, Drew. I think it's going to be pretty even because the offense really struggled at times last year. You need some playmakers there. And then Lovie Smith, of course, being a defensive guy, I'm sure he wants to beef up his defense with guys that, can really play it and move fast. So, I mean, it's wide open, really, who the Texans take. I hope it's a balance. I hope whatever it is, we get a good mix of a lot of different guys. And I think it will be, because it seems like this draft has, it's a little bit top heavy when it comes to offensive linemen. And then there's some pass rushers that might get taken, a little bit later in the second round. And then I think those skill players, you'll see a lot of them go maybe day 2, day 3. So the way the draft is balanced out, I mean, I do see us picking a little bit from all the position groups. I'd be surprised if we end up really heavily offense or really heavily defense. But I mean, what do we know? We're just guessing, right? We'll all know in a couple of days.
Always. All right, we're going to wrap things up with a question from Cruz. Cruz asks, how can I watch the NFL draft and listen to the NFL draft? Easiest way to listen, just go to the Houston Texans mobile app or HoustonTexans.com. The guys, spearheaded by John Harris and a host of others from within the building and outside of the building, Sports Radio 610, they're going to be breaking it down all day. They'll be doing it tonight, 6 to 7, and then tomorrow starting, pretty much when those guys come on the air in the morning till we get on the air at night. So you got that. And then if you want to watch it, it's everywhere. It's ABC, ESPN, NFL Network. I mean, all over the place. So lots and lots and lots of draft coverage. It's over the air. It's on cable. And you are set. And you, Deepi, are going to be hosting some of these live shows here on HoustonTexans.com and the Houston Texans mobile app, aren't you?
Yes, I wanted to give a plug to our Texans Draft Live, the live show. We did a pre-press conference live show with Nick Caserio last week. We took fan questions, but we will be taking your fan questions with John Harris, because he's doing like 50 hours of radio, and I'm not even exaggerating. He's doing every single hour of radio for Texans Draft Live, for Texans Radio. But an hour before the draft every single day, I'll have John Harris on, and we'll recap the day before. We'll have our draft picks from day 1 on day 2. We'll also look ahead to what we can expect in day 2. On day 3, we will look ahead to the day 3 best available, who the Texans might take an hour before the draft. I believe the draft on Saturday starts at 11, so we'll probably be on around 10. And then tomorrow, day 1, we will be live from the Miller Outdoor Theater, the draft party at 5 p.m. So you're not going to want to miss it, because, I mean, that's like right before the draft. What are our final thoughts? What has changed? If there's any trades, we're going to recap it all for you, myself and John Harris, live from the party.
Love it. Can't wait to see it. We can't wait to have you all involved. We appreciate you checking us out today. It's always good to hear from you. I mean, you're the reason we have our jobs, because you guys love the Houston Texans. We do too. Guys like Joe in the UK, Kimberly in Las Vegas, and Frederick in France. Frederick, thanks so much for joining us once again. And Deepi, always good to see you. Can't wait to talk with you tomorrow, the next day, and the day after. And for Amanda Caffey and Tyler Marcotte putting this whole thing together behind the scenes, we thank you all, and we'll see you again very soon. Go Texans.